Good day, welcome to the Automotive Dad and welcome to the 2024 Volkswagen Amarok. Now, the Amarok has had a big facelift. This big facelift means that there's a lot of new tech, a lot of new style, and it's a pickup truck which is used by so many people as a family vehicle. So I thought, what else could I do than look at the 2024 Amarok as a family vehicle? This one's powered by that 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine, 205 PS. This costs about 55 grand on the road, finished in dark grey metallic. But join me as I check out the new Amarok and see, is it fitted to family life just as well as the previous generation? Now, the front end has had the biggest of big updates, and I mean the biggest of big, because it kind of resembles the previous Amarok, but it's a totally different look. It's quite menacing in a good way, looks very aggressive. These IQ lights, pretty bright, pretty intelligent. The whole front end's a nice design, but still rugged and off-road. So Volkswagen's design on the front end, it's been done really well. This looks great, but you need to watch out in here. Fills up with leaves, front assist and everything goes mad, and the entire dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. Not unlike anything else, but this seems like a bit of a scoop. Aside from that, front end's cool, right? Now, this side profile is pretty long, I'm not gonna lie, but Volkswagen have done a really good job of just making sure it's not a boring slab face of a pickup truck by implementing their design language. Nice sharp curves and edges, good lines. It looks nice. Now, 18-inch diamond cut alloys. Face of it, I like diamond cut alloys. On road cars, on off-roaders, probably wouldn't expect them because 2 green lanes and they're probably toast. But aside from that, it looks good. The roll bar on the back, an option, kind of breaks up that dulcet dark metallic tone of this. Kind of keeps up nicely with the running boards, breaks it down nicely. So the entire side profile just kind of comes together nicely. It's well put together. And bearing in mind that this has to try and look different to a competitor vehicle which uses the same thing underneath, it's not an easy task to make it look significantly different. So the back end, it's an important part of a car. It's something that a lot of other people see, not so much you. But it's been nicely done. Volkswagen have made this quite interesting, having nice cut-ins at the top of the what could just be a completely bland and basic door. It's put together nicely. It looks cool. The towing package on this, offering this, is what brings it all together for me, because it says, look at this utilitarian hardcore pickup truck. Everything's easy and functional, LED tail lights, it's great. The locking rolling top is very, very cool and incredibly functional. But it's also £3,000, which is a whole Porsche Boxster, or 2 MX-5s, depending how rusty you want. And whilst it's incredibly cool and functional, I don't think I could possibly fathom that. But then again, with everything in this is a £55,000 truck, so if you're spending a lot of money, why not spend a little bit more on how something as cool as that? So now to the inside. An area of a family vehicle which needs to be reliable, comfortable, rugged, full of tech in this day and age. And Volkswagen have kind of nailed that, as well as making it quite luxurious. You get in, the seats are nice and holding, the visibility's good, everything seems good quality, nice feel of everything. Lots of cubby holes, even for a pickup truck, which notoriously, you know, a pickup truck has not a lot of storage. There's a reasonable amount in here, and everything feels good build quality. In fact, the only thing that I don't really like is the infotainment, for 2 reasons. One of which, it's almost identical to the Ford one. They really could have implemented a bit more design and really put themselves into this, but instead they're just kind of using the Ford UI. And the other thing is the fact that so much is on it. If you want to do anything, really, it's all on there. Whilst it's a really nice thing to have actual buttons on the steering wheel, and there are a good amount of buttons around here, things like your climate control and anything advanced to do with the climate control, there's no actual button to do it with. And that's the only really annoying thing about the interior of this, because everything else is quite nice. The gear stick's a bit fiddly the first time you drive this until you completely get used to it. Not a big fan of the fact that this doesn't have paddles, and the paddle shift component, the manual shift, is down here. But that's about it. The audio system itself sounds good. The driver's seat comfort is great. Your passenger seat comfort is great. There's a good amount of headroom. There's not much more to be said from the front point of view. There's a few improvements that could be made, but generally it's a pretty good effort. The back seats, otherwise known as the kids zone. Let's talk about these, because in pickup trucks so often the back is completely neglected, and for the first time in a very long time that isn't the case. See, there's room for two ISOFIX 360 seats back here to be in reverse seating mode whilst not overly affecting the front seats, in fact barely affecting the front seat at all, whilst having a good amount of tech, a good amount of headroom, a lot of comfort and a nice viewing position with ISOFIX connectors. That's really well thought out. The only thing that wasn't thought out was the fact that it's kind of protected by fabric, which means that to get these in you have to contort yourself and use your hands, and is a little bit of a pain in the backside. But aside from that, this is the first pickup truck that I've truly gone, okay, they've really thought about rear passenger comfort, because so often it's kind of an oversight, and it clearly isn't for this one. So load-wise, rear load-wise, this is a vehicle that's never going to struggle with family life. It can take over a ton of payload weight, but this is what you have to do to make sure that your family stuff doesn't fly around everywhere. Fortunately, it comes with strapping points, as you would expect for a commercial vehicle. So you can put your prams and stuff in the back, and they are pretty protected. This £3,000 automatic roller top is weatherproof, but not entirely water resistant. So as a result, to extra protect your stuff, you stick a tarp over the top of it. It's not actually the end of the world. And if you really wanted to protect stuff in the back, you would just stick a truckman cab on, and that would do it. But aside from that, it's pretty easy, and the kids love pressing the button to open and shut the rear tailgate, to the extent that you'd probably find you'd end up with a dead battery because they do it that much. So let's talk all things driving. So what is this powered by? A 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine. It's a 205 PS output, 500 newton meters of torque. That's quite a lot. Top speed of 112 miles an hour. Gets to 62 in 10.5 seconds. All seems pretty good. The drive itself feels pretty refined. And whilst it can be a bit crashy very occasionally, you do have to remember that this can also take an extra ton of payload weight, so you can kind of forgive it. From the driving perspective of driving this, the driver's seat perspective, you have good visibility, which means that generally you don't feel like this is as big as it is. Don't get me wrong, this is quite a big, quite a wide truck, but it doesn't really feel it. The position's quite nice. The steering input is relatively responsive, considering the fact that the massive tyres on this are a little bit squidgy and the suspension gives a fair bit. The throttle is incredibly responsive, and that 10-speed auto box is very, very, very silky smooth. It's nice, it's quick, it's effective, it's well thought out by Volkswagen and Ford on this basis. When you find yourself on nice back roads, you find yourself quite happy and content. But find yourself on a straight bit of back road, and don't be tempted to go above 50 miles an hour, because this is one of those annoying grey areas. Well, it's not really a grey area, it's actually just a silly area by our government that haven't gone, well, if you stuck a kitchen unit in the back of this and stuck a pop-up tent on top, it would then be a proper dual class vehicle and you could do 60 on the back roads. But with less weight in it, you're limited to 50, because it's over our weight threshold of what we consider to be a light commercial vehicle that can do dual purpose. It doesn't really make sense, but unfortunately you are limited to said speed, which is a little bit rubbish, because this vehicle easily deals with normal roads. It also means dual carriageways, you're limited to 60 miles an hour. You know the deal. That's the only real negative, because the drive of this thing is really quite good. Steering input's lovely, throttle response is great. Brake, even though it's a little bit of a bigger vehicle, doesn't really feel all that big. It's quite impressive, quite nice. The drive is genuinely really good. So how to summarise a vehicle which is set to do so much and actually can do so much? This is a vehicle which looks great no matter where you park it. It's really a bit of a bold statement. It's massive. Even this dark metallic grey, you can't hide the size of this thing. It is ginormous. Those 18-inch diamond cut alloys are not something that I would go for, but from the outside point of view, that is about it. Inside, it's nice and refined and comfortable. They've done a really good job. The interface on that infotainment is the only thing that really lets it down, because otherwise the quality of this interior is just superb. And the fact that the rear seat setup is actually suitable for 360 Isofix spin seats is just game changing, because previous generations of almost anything weren't compliant with that, shall we say. And the fact that you could have two Isofix seats back there and spin them up against each other, they don't bash into each other, it's wide enough. For rear capability, we know as a fact it can take a ton of payload weight, and if you need it to be completely weatherproof, then just stick a truckman cab on the back. Otherwise that roller top is more than suitable. You don't have to go for an electric one. For a £3,000 option, you can go for just a more conventional Aventura top. In general then, for a £55,000 vehicle which can return between 27 to 32 miles to the gallon combined, it's really good. It's a good amount of performance, it's a good handling, it's a good feeling, it's a good general vehicle. It's not perfect, but it's a really, really good effort. Really good.